a career. Get out of the way. Let someone else who actually cares about keeping their promises to the American people, let them step up. Let them start passing legislation. Now, also tonight, Hillary Clinton released her book. It's called What Happened? And by the way, it was all smiles earlier today while kicking off the first part of her book tour, signing copies right here in New York City. But tonight, Clinton should be anything but happy because this book, and the media won't tell you, is full of nothing but excuses, lies, and, to use a phrase, fake news. Now, Crooked Hillary, as the president calls her, is in complete denial about why she actually lost this election. Now, let's take a list at the long list of Clinton excuses that our colleague and friend Greg Jarrett has put together. Look at this. Clinton has up to now given 32 reasons for why she lost. And the list grows and grows and grows, and no person, no thing is spared. Now, Clinton has blamed everyone and everything but herself and her terrible campaign for this defeat. Now, Greg Jarrett, he's going to join us along with Jay Sekulow with reaction. But instead of writing a tell-all book, Clinton could have saved herself a lot of time and just take a long look in the mirror. But of course, this is Hillary Clinton we're talking about. She'll never pass up an opportunity, A, to make money, and B, cast blame on others. It's exactly what Hillary Clinton did in an interview with CBS this weekend. Just take a look at this.
Analysts who I have a great deal of respect for, like Nate Silver, burrowed into the data and said, but for that Comey letter, she would have won. But even though that was the primary blow to my campaign at the very end, it has to be looked at in context with the Russians weaponizing information, negative stories about me, this whole WikiLeaks beginning to leak in early October of John Podesta's emails. Facebook was taking money from Russian companies to run negative stories about me. And then let's not forget sexism and misogyny, which are endemic to our society.
Misogyny, the last one. Now, these examples are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Clinton blaming others for why it is that she lost. Now, in this new book, Hillary actually criticizes the liberal mainstream media for all the scandals surrounding the Clinton Foundation. Now, listen to this.
I knew from experience that if I ran for president again, everything Bill and I had ever touched was subject to scrutiny and attack, including the foundation. That was a concern. But I never imagined that this widely respected global charity would be as savagely smeared and attacked as it was. During the campaign, there was twice as much written about the Clinton Foundation as there was on any of the Trump scandals.
She's now painting herself as the victim. She's completely out of touch. Let's set the record straight. Let's give you the truth. She's out of touch with the facts surrounding the Clinton Foundation. Now, take a look at the side of the screen. The Clinton Foundation took millions and millions of dollars from countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the UAE, and others. You know, countries that treat women, gays, lesbians, Christians, and Jews horribly. Saudi Arabia, remember, women can't drive. They need permission to work or to travel. Marital rape in these countries, in many of them, is not recognized. If you're gay or lesbian, many of those countries, the punishment is death. And by the way, you're not allowed to build a church or a temple in Saudi Arabia, for example. That would be illegal. And that's just the one country of the many that the Clintons have taken money from. Not to mention all the allegations of pay to play at the Clinton Foundation. You may remember back in August of last year when the AP published a story with the headline, quote, many donors to Clinton Foundation met with her at state. And the report details, quote, more than half people outside the government who met with Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State gave money either personally or through companies or groups to the Clinton Foundation. Wow, you donate and you get a meeting. And then, of course, the Uranium One deal. As her tenure as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, she was one of 9 people to approve the transfer of up to 20% of America's uranium. You know, the foundation material for nuclear weapons. To who? Vladimir Putin, the Russians. Wow, there is a real conspiracy. And then people involved in that deal ended up kicking back as much as $145 million to the Clinton Foundation. Oh, and Bill Clinton doubled his speaking fees in Moscow. So, sorry, Hillary Clinton. The media, Republicans, they're not to blame for all the corruption at the Clinton Foundation. And by the way, you and your husband are. And next, of course, Hillary's excuse for her email server scandal. In her book, What Happened, she actually attacks the New York Times, over their coverage, blaming them. Listen to this.
The Times, as usual, played an outsized role in shaping the coverage of my emails throughout the election. To me, the paper's approach felt schizophrenic. It spent nearly 2 years beating me up about emails, but its glowing endorsement applied some sanity to the controversy. Then in the home stretch of the race, when it mattered most, the paper went right back to its old ways.
All right, again, let's tell the truth and let's set the record straight. That's laughable because, remember, WikiLeaks exposed the New York Times as only one of the many mainstream media outlets, interestingly enough, except the Fox News channel, that was caught red-handed. They were colluding with the Clinton campaign. Now, the reason her emails became such a big story is because Clinton broke several laws. Remember, she had secret, top secret, special access program and classified information on her server, the server stored in the bathroom of a mom and pop shop. Now, the FBI also told us that it's likely that up to 5 foreign intelligence agencies gained access to every single classified email and every special access program email on that server. And it even gets worse. Remember, Clinton's team deleted 33,000 emails using BleachBit. In other words, acid wash, after being served with a congressional subpoena. Now, an aide also smashed those old mobile devices with a hammer. We can't get the emails from there. And then to top it all off, members of Clinton's legal team, remember, they did get the FBI BlackBerries, but those BlackBerries didn't have SIM cards in them, rendering them meaningless. Now, there's also the fact that Clinton changed her story and lied every step of the way when it came to her use of a private email server. Now, this is all pathetic. And Clinton is delusional. The media won't tell you. She can't come to grips with the reality. She was a terrible candidate. No message, no vision for the American people. And by the way, she didn't even bother to campaign in swing states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Unbelievable. Joining us now with reaction, editor-in-chief, LifeZette, Fox News contributor, nationally syndicated radio host, Laura Ingraham. You're laughing.
Well, I listened to you, and I'm like, these are the golden oldies of the Clintons. I mean, you didn't hit Webb Hubble or, Broderick. I mean, you could have gone through all of that.
But it's all a lie. She's now making money off a bunch of suckers that are buying a book that's full of lies and fake news.
Yeah, I think it's time to BleachBit.
I think she believes it.
Yeah, BleachBit the book. Yeah. Take hammers to the book. I mean, that's what her staff should have done before they released it. And I was thinking of the old quote from Teddy Roosevelt, that if you could kick the person in the pants most responsible for your own troubles, you wouldn't sit for a month. And Hillary Clinton has to think about that. Even Eleanor Roosevelt, her idol, talked about how we shape our own lives. We make our own decisions, and ultimately we're responsible until we die for those decisions and our own fate. And yet, every turn, whether it's going back to 1998 and Monica Lewinsky, all the way up through the Clinton scandals of the Clinton Foundation, it's never, ever, ever the Clintons' fault. And I think that refusal to take really pretty much any personal responsibility of any note is part of the reason why Trump won, because people are just kind of sick of that type of politics. Trump is not someone who's going to apologize a lot. That's not who he is. But he did expose the Clintons for what they do and who they are. And I think that second debate, Sean, remember the second debate where he stood next to her and he had all those women who
it was creepy.
In the front row.
He was within 10 feet of her.
Yeah, and all the women who Bill Clinton had abused, and in Broderick and Paula Jones and all the rest. And he said, "You're talking about some locker room talk that I regret and I'm sorry for. Yeah, that's bad. But what about what happened to these women?" And he called out the Clintons for what most Republicans in public office were afraid to do, which is their utter disregard for the norms of human behavior and how most public servants treat the oath of office, which is with great respect and great reverence, not the revolving door of influence that we saw at the State Department. So you nailed it in your monologue.
All right, let me ask you this, because Mitch McConnell said our expectations have been really, really high, that after, begging for the House, the Senate, and the White House, that, after 7.5 years expecting health care, that was really unfair of us to expect the job done. Now he's saying the tax bill may go into next year. Now, my first reaction is one of anger and feeling of betrayal.
Yeah, it's rightful anger. The people expect action. If Mitch McConnell cannot get this done, and I know they're meeting in the White House tonight, I think they're having dinner, but if he can't get this done with the House in Republican hands, obviously the Senate and the presidency, then I think it's time for him and a lot of his colleagues to go into a different line of work. They're just not all that good, contrary to what we've heard at politics. So maybe Mitch McConnell either rides off into the sunset, does something in Kentucky, maybe he can run a bourbon company or something down there, and leave politics to people like Donald Trump, who can actually cut deals when necessary and get results for the American people. Because so far, they've given us a bunch of goose eggs here. We've gotten almost nothing from the Republicans. And